Good evening. Welcome to Professor and the Hammer podcast. With me, as always, my sidekick and now also right next door to me now, just about Mr. Richard Cloudhammer. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm well. I'm a little angry because I'm not happy with my. I need like powder or something. I feel shiny.
Where's your round circle thing?
Oh, what round circle thing?
Like for lighting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I had to leave them in Georgia, so I'm in. My friend is letting me use her little studio for her work, which is really nice. But like, it's not the setup for the lighting for my skin. So
right,
having some issues.
You look like you're in witness protection program.
I feel like I am. Dude, my hair's all slicked back. I'm like,
you got a curtain over there. Oh man, but hey,
I move everything. Well,
I'm super excited for tonight. We have one of our teammates from Louisiana.
Yeah, bona fide superstar. This is really
but it's pretty cool that we have someone this big on our team, and current cast member of the Ultimate Fighter. Let's just bring him in. What's going on, Kurt? How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, guys?
What's up, dude? Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, that's up, man. As soon as you and I have talked for years. I followed your career since the first time you were in the UFC. So like, let's just go all the way back, man, because I know you're like me. You're someone who started with Team Chikau or Gracie United, from the ground up, white belt to black belt. Did you always want to be an MMA fighter, or did you just kind of do jiu-jitsu and just kind of brought you in there?
No, man. My goal was to be an MMA fighter. Right after I graduated high school, a couple years later, I heard some of the guys that I graduated with were doing some cage fighting. And I guess that's right when the local cage fighting started getting kind of popular. So I was like, damn, man, well, if they can do it, I can do it. But I didn't want to go to their gym because I didn't want to be like that. I didn't want to be a copycat or whatever. So I just so happened to be installing an alarm. I used to install alarms, cameras, and fire alarms. And I seen right beside me, and it was a Gracie Baja. And it's like, Gracie Baja, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coming soon. And I'm like, that's the place. I'm going back there when they open. So I did. I went back there. First person I talked to was Raphael. I want to say I was about 20 years old. And I told Raphael, I said, hey, I want to be a cage fighter. I want to fight. Do you do any kind of promoting fights or anything? And, yep, he slid me my waiver form to sign up, man. I signed up, walked through the door. Never left.
My man Rafael always selling. He's meant so much to me professionally and just being a friend and somebody I can always reach out and talk to about business, about personal life. And, like I remember one time we had a school open up close to ours. I was like, what do I do? Do I slice price? And he's just like, chill, relax. You're good. You know what I mean? You got great product, great facility, great teammates, all that stuff. So he's been real great. And of course, obviously, we have the one of the most hidden gems in the world in Chikau. So you started fighting that. You guys, for those who don't know, Kurt's in Louisiana. Shout out to Tim Rankin. He's the owner of the local promotion here at Cage Wars. Get your tickets July 7th. We'll get into that a little bit later. But you guys have a ton of talent down in Louisiana. Like before, I remember when I first started knowing about you through Rafael, Dustin Poirier was coming up.
Yep.
And he was on that movie Fightville, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a little thing they was doing.
And obviously Tim Kruger, and you guys have a whole bunch of people. So like, did you like come up with those guys on the amateur ranks, or they were a little before you?
So a few of them, like for example, me and Dustin, we were fighting on the same shows down here. All of the tapings they were doing for the Fightville for Dustin, I was on like those cards too. It's just they were doing all the taping for Dustin and the Fightville.
Yeah.
So and I always seen at the bottom of the poster in the fine print, it was saying there was something for HBO. So I'm like, cool, man. Maybe I'll be on HBO. But come find out later on, it was the show for Dustin and Fightville. But yeah, a lot of those guys, I was never on a card with Tim Crater. Tim Crater actually was on The Ultimate Fighter when I first started training, like my first year in training or whenever I first started fighting amateur. That's when Tim was on The Ultimate Fighter. And then you had guys like Kyle Bradley, who was in the UFC at that time. Dustin Poirier making the waves. Rich Clemente, you had some of those guys. I even think we had a guy named Sean Jordan who was all in the UFC or doing big things at that time.
Yeah, and Cormier, of course, from
Right.
Shreveport. That's awesome, man. It's funny because like when I remember when I started jiu-jitsu in 2007, and that's when like UFC was getting popular again. And they started to, like everyone that was good came from Jackson or came from ATT in Florida or whatever. And now it seems like people are starting to expand and like you can get that training anywhere. You look at like Alessandra and Volkanovski, City Kickboxing in Australia. Like whoever knew about those guys like 4 years ago.
Yep. Now there's just so many different teams, man. And you see a lot of guys who make it to the UFC who really don't train with really big teams. And then you see guys later on, that Killcliff down in South Florida is getting big because a lot of guys just go down there to do their training camps. Same thing with ATT. You got Greg Jackson, a lot Alpha Male. A lot of guys who train in small gyms just say, hey, man, maybe I'll just go do a training camp 2 or 3 weeks down there and, try to up my skills, train with different people, which is really, it's a good idea. You get different looks and different preparation. But, still a lot of these guys claim their little small gym that they train in back home.
What's kept you in Louisiana?
I think it's just my family, just not being – or family and business, right? Because, I have 2 gyms, 2 Gracie United Team Jukai gyms that me and my wife run, and just having the gyms for work and then all of my kids, it's just hard to up and leave. I do plan on trying to do some training in the future with, maybe Killcliff or, Michael Chandler since, he was the coach on The Ultimate Fighter and stuff like that. So I got some plans in the future. Okay,
cool. What's happened down with you may know I when you're talking about South Florida Killcliff guys, is that the old Black Zillions? Is that
I think it is. There's a lot of the guys that Black Zillions, and then they went to once Black Zillions went away. It's still a lot of the guys down there like Gilbert Burns and Michael Johnson, all of those guys that were at the Black Zillions. And they went to, I don't know if it was actually Sanford right after that, but I know it was Sanford for a little while. And then now it's Killcliff. And if you talk to Michael Chandler, he'll tell you I just call it that big gym in South Florida, man, because I guess they changed the name or catch sponsors. I know Killcliff is a drain. Maybe Killcliff sponsored the gym and funded all the stuff for them. I don't really know how it works, but it looks like that's kind of what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Chandler wants to come on the show. Well, we've been more glad to have him,
Oh, for sure.
So it's funny because that was one of my favorite seasons of Ultimate Fighter was Black Zillions ATT because they really genuinely did not like each other. And I get that because you have those rival gyms and so on and so forth, but like the whole not letting people sit in your sauna and that kind of stuff was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was a crazy season. And who knows, man? Hopefully this season the Ultimate Fighter does really well, and maybe we'll see another season like that. Because there's so many big gyms out there, man. Really, that can be, a good theme to the next couple shows to do, man. Because nobody likes to lose to their rival teams, stuff like that.
It's kind of like that. We talked about that last time. That the one organization of MMA. Remember the teams back in the early 2000s?
Yeah,
I forget what that was, but they had teams of people.
IFL, International Fight League.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, they had
Henzo was New York, and
Yep.
Yeah,
they had different names like the Anacondas and
like it's trying to like a sports team, like a but which is interesting.
Yeah, like I said, I've been a huge fan of the Ultimate Fighter. I wish they would bring back the old school Ultimate Fighter where they made you do
volleyball and stuff.
Well, they used to do contests. I remember when the first one with Forrest Griffin and Bonner, all those guys. You had team versus team, and the winner got to pick the fight. I always thought that was really cool. Now, later on, this couple seasons later on, they just basically just stocked the whole house full of alcohol and let the fucking
in and let they try different directions. I think it was cool. The team building was kind of cool because you see people outside the element of fighting, so you can see how they corresponded in other areas. And I think that was cool because it brought a different element to it. You know, so Is there a lot of animosity on this season? Like, I mean, is that genuine, you think? Or Kurt, if I can ask that. Like the animosity, is that like real, or is it kind of manufactured? Do you feel like a lot of is some of it like staged for production, or are they edit it the right way? Or
say nothing on the Ultimate Fighter is scripted. They don't tell you nothing. The only thing they say is, hey, if you start talking about something and our cameras come rolling in, don't stop talking. Keep talking what you're talking about, you know. But no, like everything that you've seen so far, that's nothing staged. That's all real. You know, anybody that's talking smack and the things that happen later on in the season, man, 100% real.
So, like, you've had a few different. I know you're in like the Contender Series and stuff. So you obviously UFC and other big promotions. So you're pretty familiar with cameras. Is it hard to be in that situation of like living day to day with a camera in your face? Does it change how you are? Or do you not notice it after a while, or do you find yourself maybe at the beginning acting a little different, but then you kind of they're just so used to it? Is that how? I mean, how does that work?
I mean, the first couple of nights was just different, you know. But I kind of mentally prepared myself for all of that, and it's like it's weird because the whole time I'm there, and you know, they guys got the cameras in my face. It's like the whole time they got the cameras in my face, I'm picturing what's going on, like somebody was actually watching, we're watching it on the Ultimate Fighter. Yeah, you know. So I was actually like picturing it. So I mean, I got used to it real quick, you know, with the cameras in your face, wearing your microphone 24/7. Yeah. It was different, but cool experience.
Because these are like mini fight camps, like right after one another. So is that? I mean, I've done amateur fighting, so I know how that's stressful. It's not the same thing, but like adding that element to it, does that distract from fighting a good amount, or you think you can? That probably separates a lot of people who can do it, who can't, because I mean, like it probably affects their mentality when they're going to fight, because it's like a whole different fucking thing. Like you're on a show and also at the same time preparing for a fight. Like some people probably break from that, or some people secede from it because they're more mentally prepared for it. Like you said, you are. So
yeah, no, 100%. And you've seen past seasons, guys up and go home in the first week, second week, third week. Oh, they missed their girl,
Uriah Hall,
missed their wife.
Yeah,
that you know, they could walk through that show.
Yeah,
and he just mentally just couldn't put it together to win it.
So, but I mean, I don't know. I'm just different, you know. And it's the same with all the guys in the house. Nobody was even close to going home. I feel like a lot of guys in the house actually had a good time, because really what that is a fighter's paradise. If you want to be a fighter and you want to be in the UFC, that's for you. That's 100% for you. The only thing that is different is, you know, when you first get there, and I'm sure past episodes are actually different because you just don't, you know, when you don't know when you're going to fight. This time was a little bit different because they made the fight selections on the first day, right? They picked the teams and we picked the fight selection. So we knew who we were fighting. We knew when. But now leading up that week before, we didn't know when we're going to fight. We're having to diet. We have to stay in shape, try our best to do a little fight camp in the hotel, because, you know, they got you out there almost 2 weeks early before you even go into the house.
Right.
Can't really work out. The best you can do is maybe use the equipment room and go for a run. So
I didn't think about that. How does the weight work in that? Like I never really thought about that before.
You just got to be within striking range. You know, you got to be close, because if you're not, you have a hard cut.
Well, you see that in later, like the first couple Ultimate Fighters, you saw a lot of people struggle with making weight. And I think that's because it's the people who have the big weight cuts. They can make it the first time, but the second and third time make it real tough. And then you started seeing guys like Kenny Florian and all those guys drop down weight classes or come and fight at their natural weight. Those guys did the best on the first Ultimate Fighter, guys who didn't have to cut 30 pounds every time. It's messes
I never thought about that, because I remember some guys like Rashad Evans, even he was a heavyweight when he was on the show. And he fought like, so that makes sense, because then they don't have to cut as much, so you can be a little more prepared. Okay, I never thought about that before.
One of my favorite stats is from the heavyweight. They broke down on Brendan Schaub's show. They talked about how many pounds of food they ate in the heavyweight, because, you know, there was no weight cutting for that, and it was crazy amount of food. So walk us through what a daily thing was in the house, like how that.
Before we do that, Kurt, you fight at 145, was it? Or
155.
What do you walk around at? Like, if I may ask, not to.
So I roughly walk around between 175 and 180.
Okay, you're pretty tall for 155. You're like almost 6 foot, aren't you? Like 5'11".
About 5'10" and a half.
Yeah. So like, when you at the, I'm not to interject you, Nels. I'm just trying to think around the same weight thing. So like, when you're at the in the house, what do you? So your daily weight when you're coaching, stuff like that, about 170, you said.
So just daily, like right now, I'm probably
Yeah.
175.
Okay.
Now, if I'm eating and drinking beer and I'm just living life, man, I was like 187 last week.
Okay.
So I can get up there, if I just splurge.
So if you're in the house, what were you hovering at?
So I was actually very light in the house. And one of the main reasons, because we knew about this, a month prior, So I started dieting. I started getting in shape, training like I was going there to fight, but training like a real fight camp, getting my weight down. So I want to say I left and went to Vegas at 165.
Oh, wow.
Which is very close striking range. And actually, I was way lower than that. I was actually so low that my body started to cramp up in training because, the first couple of days, we still didn't know when we were going to fight. So I'm like, man, I'm staying low. And finally, I'm like, look, screw this, man. Look, we got all the resources. We got the sauna. We got every resource we need to cut weight. We got the best food that you can get. You put on a list what kind of food you want, and they'll get it for you. So, I mean, you're eating healthy, whatever you want. So I'm like, man, I started drinking some electrolytes and some more water, really putting all that back in my body. But I was still low. Easy weight cuts,
Like you were saying before, previous seasons you were not allowed to contact anyone. Is this one? Do you have a little contact with outside, or still no?
Nothing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like I said, they bring you out about 2 weeks early. I want to say we spent 11, 12 days in a hotel. And I've heard in the past they'll take your phones while you're in the hotel, so you're in the hotel with nothing. Oh. Well, they actually let us keep our phones for the first 10 days, and then because here's the thing, right? They're only bringing 16 fighters into the house, right? 8 each weight class. So, but when you start counting and you start looking at fighters, there was a lot more than 16 fighters there. So you're like, well shit, man, like somebody's getting cut. Like, and then you start hearing some gossip. Well, some people know their alternates. Some people don't know their alternates. So for a little while, you didn't even know if you was going into the actual house.
So there was a story that leaked out that I think it was 2 or 3 fighters got booted for Connor's guys. Can you talk about? If you can't talk about, don't worry about. Don't talk about.
No, I think that it's. So here's the thing. I think that's false. I don't know and that's Lee Hammond, the guy I'm actually fighting. That's Connor's guy that trains at SBG with Connor. Been training with Connor for years. He's even got some parts in Connor's new documentary that came out. So good training partner for Connor. I would imagine. I'm sure he knew he was going to be on the Ultimate Fighter the whole time, right? And it was just one guy, and it was just Lee. And I think a lot of people knew that Connor had a guy on there. So that was a lot of guys' excuse saying, well, they let me go. So
those guys were probably alternates, and they just kind of made that up to kind of justify
face.
And so
pretty much.
We'll get back to the house in a second, but about a week ago, it got real popular up here, an article with you basically saying Connor was kind of annoying. Like, how that story come about, and what was it like being around him?
So here's the thing, Connor, and you see this in Connor's past season of The Ultimate Fighter, right? Yeah. Connor, he shows up at every fight in a suit. He doesn't get in the corner and coach his guys, but he'll run around the cage and coach the guys all around the cage, and I'm like, damn, if you want to coach the guy that bad, go to his corner,
Right.
That was the thing. And that's how all that came about, when we started talking about it. And that was just my opinion on it, you see Michael Chandler show up, he's in his tough gear. He's in his shirt. He don't need to show up in expensive suits and sit on the outside of the cage and yell. He was there to be a real coach to us and really mentor us and help get us to where we wanted to be.
So we have one of our fighters up here who gets himself in trouble with the casino all the time because he does the same thing, runs around, yells in the cage.
That's hilarious.
So is there athletic commission at these fights? Because these don't fight towards your record, right? Because they're only 2 rounds.
So, yeah. The fights are only 2 rounds, but I don't think that's why. I think because they can't release the results right away, that's why they're sort of an exhibition. But even they'll be on your record. Like you can go look at the past guys on The Ultimate Fighter, and see that they fought. It'll say win or loss, whoever they fought, and um, it just won't actually count towards a record. But you can go look and see that they fought, and you can win or loss. But I think it's just more of an exhibition fight than anything.
Okay. Yeah, I've always wondered but also like for the athletic commission, I'm surprised. I mean, let's face it, Connor does what Connor wants to do. I mean, he
prints money, so I mean,
yeah. But I'm surprised the athletic commission doesn't have something about, hey, you guys have to sit down. Like you guys can't come up to the cage.
That's TV, man. That makes for good TV.
24/7. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny too because there's this big thing about him that he did not get in the USADA pool again. So he's not going to be fighting for 2023, which just sucks. I'd really like to see Chandler and him mix it up. I think Chandler will announce soon that he's going to fight someone else this year. I don't think he's going to sit on the shelf for 6 months.
It's cool hearing from somebody who met him because, like, I was never a huge Chandler fan before he got to the UFC. Like, I mean, like I liked watching him, but his personality seemed different. Then when he got to the UFC, he just got more exposure or something. Where like he's a really cool fucking guy. And like,
T. Ortiz did that to me too.
Who did?
I always hated T. Ortiz, and when he was on The Ultimate Fighter, I was like, man, that's a fighter's coach right there, man. That dude trained with their guys. He ran with them, cut weight with them.
Yeah.
Chandler.
Who was he? It was after Oliveira. Like, no, it wasn't Oliveira. Who was his last fight? That was a close fight.
Dustin Poirier was last fight, I think.
It was after Dustin Poirier. Thank you. He gave a really cool, a really cool Instagram post on his podcast that he posted, and it was just one of the realest things. He's just about losing and winning and the trying hard, and he doesn't define him, and I just love that. I thought that was a really cool, real thing. To see how hard he trains and to put into it, and he has really funny clips of him and his kids with his face mask that he put on, and it's really cool. It's just like such a cool, like a real guy, you know what I mean? Like, and he's out there and he's genuine. And I like seeing that and hearing from you, who's trained with him and in high praise. It's such a cool thing. It's coming out. It's good. Win or lose, man, he's a great dude.
Yeah, and like I've never met Chandler before this, but I knew, with his skills and his wrestling, I really wanted to be on Chandler. I've never been. So, but after we was on the team and the things that he did for us and all the help that he gave us, man. I will say Chandler is one of the most down-to-earth guys you'll ever meet and one of the best human beings on the planet.
That's amazing to hear.
But literally do anything for anybody.
Yeah, that's what's up, awesome. Man.
It's funny because before, when he was in Bellator, I just got a different vibe from him. Like he seemed kind of, and I just was the vibe that I got from like his persona, the aura. It just kind of like just kind of dicky. I can't explain, like meatheadish, and then not his fucking personality at all. And it's just like, man, like I almost feel ashamed for judging him on just like those. What I saw, and I'm like, man, he seemed like kind of whatever. And then like when he came to the UFC, I'm like, this motherfucker is real because he tries to put on the best show. He tries to win, but it's also just like, man, like when that Gaethje fight, he just tried to fight Gaethje in his element. I'm like, that's a bad dude. Like, I mean,
dude, you look at Chandler's last 5 fights: Benson Henderson, Dan Hooker, Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson, and Dustin Poirier. Dude, you cannot put 5 tougher dudes in a row and fight like that. And I mean, it really is. Yeah,
he came out with 2-3, but at the same time, like 5-0 in just entertainment.
Yeah,
I mean, that was just like, fighting is just like the coolest.
Yeah,
I mean,
so we got a question from one of our viewers. What aspect of fighting did Michael help you with the most?
Wrestling, 100%. Every morning we'll start off with just some basic, fundamental wrestling, and really, that was the main reason I want to be on his team, just for his wrestling.
Right. Yeah, man, that's awesome. And I mean, let's talk about records, man. Your record's no joke. I was looking through. I didn't know you had that many fights.
Yeah, there's a ton of fights, man.
And like you could see, like I remember the one fight that I thought you had it in the bag was Shane Burgos. Burgos. How you pronounce Shane's last name? I forgot.
Yeah,
but anyways, that was your second stint in the UFC, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So the first time you got in, you just signed a contract, right?
Well, the first time I got in, I took a fight on the final Strikeforce card because the UFC had purchased Strikeforce.
Right.
So my manager at the time hit me up and he's like, "Hey, buddy, I got a good offer for you. Tough fight, but if you take it," and he's like, "and you do well, the UFC is going to bring you over. He's like, the final Strike Force card, you're going to fight Pat Healy. And I'm like, done.
Yeah,
so, I go out there, I fight Pat Healy. Right after that fight's done, Sean Shelby came to the back, said, how would you like to fight in the UFC? And I'm like, hell, I would like to fight in the UFC. So he gave me his card and said he'll be in touch. And, wound up fighting in the UFC and having those little runs.
What's cool? So I have a question because I don't know how to phrase this, but so I'm just gonna be real because I don't mean any. But you were completely dominant in Titan and and then what's the feeling like? Because UFC obviously it's the cream of the crop. It's hard. Is there I don't know how to convey this because it's you were. I mean, look at your record. You were completely just fucking annihilating people, and then the UFC, it's it's a step up, but these are still Titan is still fucking killer people. So it's is there a different what is it a feeling when you lock up with the guys when you fight? Do you feel is it a different a big jump or what? Because it's
a huge jump.
Yeah,
because I don't think that every guy that I fought in the UFC, I don't think they were outclassed me. I don't think they were better.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Fights I could have won.
Yeah.
I think what I always tell people, man, is I think it's just the pressure of being in the UFC. It's the pressure to perform.
Yeah.
At the highest level.
Yeah.
And in the past, I don't know. I couldn't get it done. And it sucks. And that's why I'm thankful to have this third chance to try to go get it done again.
100%, because it's obviously. I mean, not that you're obviously belong there. I mean, your record. You're it's once you step out of this UFC, you're just a fucking buzzsaw.
Five of your 7 losses have come in Strike Force or UFC.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? You dominate a lot, and you look at those places, XFC, Titan. Those are not some little podunk.
No,
town.
That's what I mean.
Gigantic fucking organizations.
They're UFC's one. These are 1A level stuff where it's that's what I'm what it's just crazy to see the jump because it's like you said, these guys are all everybody there is a hair's breadth within each other. If any fight can go either way, it's just and that's what's crazy because it's I mean, look at your record, you were just decimating people, and then UFC just a little tougher challenge. Didn't go your way, but you could have. You know what I mean? You said the Burgos fight like that.
I've never been slaughtered.
No. Yeah.
And there's a lot of guys that I fought and beat that have fought in the UFC, and this one fights in the UFC. So I know I can do it.
Yeah.
I got to have my head together. I got to have my head on right. And that's what I feel like now. I feel like now I don't even care. No pressure no more. I've already been there. I've done that. I fought the best guys in the UFC. I fought all of them wound up being ranked. All the guys that I fought and lost to in the UFC. So it's what else could happen to me? The worst has already happened. I've been TKO'd. I've been submitted, and I've lost by decision. I've traveled to other countries. I've fought guys in their hometowns. Man, now this is all for fun now. So
yeah, you achieved everything you probably want. I mean, you feel you achieved most of what you set out to achieve? Obviously, everybody gold championship, whatever. But I mean, for the most part, when you started this, do you ever see yourself getting this far and and achieving what you have? Because you have an amazing career.
No, not when I first walked in the door and I went to Raphael and said I wanted to be a fighter. UFC never crossed my mind. That was only something that I felt like I could watch on TV.
Yeah.
I started winning fight after fight after fight. I remember Raphael looked at me one day, and it was after my 4th amateur fight, and it was I can't wait to see you in the UFC one day. And I was still okay. And then I keep racking up wins. And I don't know if you remember who Charles McCarthy is. Chainsaw Charles McCarthy. Fighting UFC back in the day. I guess he was, with a management team, and he was the one that actually sought me out and contacted me on whatever social media platform we had 10 years ago. I can't even remember. But he was like, man, I found you. I come across some of your fights on YouTube, man. You're undefeated. You got a great record. I think I was 7-0 at the time. He was like, bro, what do you think about signing with a manager? That way, we're your next step. We get you to the UFC. And I'm like, let me talk to my team about it. But, we might go this direction. And I wind up signing to the management group he was running at the time, racking up them other 2 wins. And then they called me for the Strike Force fight. So,
wow. How crazy is that call? You get that call. Does he even care? Do you even care about the money at that point? Or you just let me get in there?
I mean, yeah, absolutely not. Just being in Strikeforce, and I was a big fan of Strikeforce actually.
Mm-hmm.
I watched every Strikeforce card, every UFC card.
Yeah.
And just being on there, I'm like, dude, I've been watching this on TV. It's almost like you can't believe it. And I think that's another thing. I get there, and it's not that I'm starstruck. It's just, you know, I'm from a small town. You know, nobody's famous around my town. Nobody really was able to go out and do anything big like that. And then here I am in one of the biggest stages in the world.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I still feel like a fan. I don't feel like a fighter. If that So I'm just kind of there, and I'm seeing Daniel Cormier walk around, Jacare Souza, Nate Marquardt, who was all on the card that night, Roger Gracie, and I'm like, oh, man, like it's kind of surreal.
Yeah, incredible. What are your favorite memories? Do you have like some favorite like highlight memories of those like things that you kind of stick out in your head? Like,
you know, just being there and seeing all those guys walk around, and that was my very first time actually going to either a UFC or a Strikeforce. Of course, I've been to a lot of smaller local shows, but right when we pulled up to the hotel, being chauffeured into I think it was something like a limousine. It was a super fancy car that we got picked up in the airport with, and first person I see is Jacare Souza walking through the door, and I'm like,
damn,
we
crazy.
Yeah. How do I go from sitting at home watching this shit on TV my whole life and now I'm actually here, but do I really belong here? Am I this good? You know, all those things run through your head, but just being there and being around everybody is a great moment.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now it's set in stone. You know, you can never get that taken away from you. That's incredible. You know?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So let's get back to the house real quick. Like, so I know the UFC's got that PI out there in Vegas, and they're starting to build them like all over the world, which is kind of cool. Did you get to go into the PI, or is that just are you just sequestered to the training center and the house?
We actually got to go to the PI a little bit. So I actually, back when I fought the Contender Series back in 2018, I think they just built that. So they actually brought me and a training partner out to the Vegas to do some photo shoot, some video and stuff like that. And they opened the PI up to it and say, hey, what, man, you can Uber here, come train all you want, you know?
Wow.
So cool. So, you know, back in 2018, me and my training partner was training as much as we could until we left.
Yeah.
So then going back to the house, you kind of had, it was up to your coaches. I guess if your coaches pulled the strings and got you to go to the PI, you could. I know Team Chandler's team, they did a lot of weight cutting over there. They probably went over there more, or Connor's team went over there more than Team Chandler did. But we was able to go over there quite a few times just to either get a workout or, you know, use the resources, you know, massage therapists and all the therapy stuff over there. So they let us go here and there.
Man, it's come a long way from, you know, I forget when it all started, probably 2005 is probably remember watching the first one and just how crazy, and like all those guys all had real jobs. No one was real professional fighters. So do you think Conor made a mistake by taking the up and comers? I don't know what you call them. I know you guys were the veterans. Because Chandler took first, right? He took you guys first, your team?
No, actually. So, and the way it worked, and like we talked about this on the previous season, you pick one guy at a time,
right,
to your team, and then you would do a coin toss, and whoever can either pick the first fight or the first fighter,
right? And
every week, you don't even know if you're going to fight unless your team has control. If your team's winning, your team has the control. So they say, hey, I want to fight this guy. You got like 4 days to make weight or something like that, maybe 5 days. I don't know exactly how it was back then. But the good thing on this show, we were picked by the groups. So you had the 155ers, veterans, and then you had the 155 prospects, and the same thing with the 35 veterans and prospects.
Right.
So Connor actually won the toss.
That's
so
right.
Connor got first pick. He took the 155 prospects because of his guy Lee Hammond, which left Chandler with he got the pick. He could either take the prospects or he could take the UFC vets. And he said, screw it, I'm going to take all UFC vets. So that's how we were on the Chandler team, and all the up and comers were on Connor's team.
And so far, man, it's worked out for him. I mean, he's, you know, Did you what went into the seeding? Like, how was that already pre-seeded, or is that something they decided on?
Nope. So after we were picked
Yep.
the teams, so Dana said, look, your coach is going to bring you back tomorrow, put you in a training session, and they're going to rank you 1 through 4. Right? And the number 1 seed will fight the number 4 seed, the number 2 seed to fight the number 3 seed. So that's how we did. We did a little training session. I guess our coaches ranked us, and that's how they did the fight picks.
Is there any kind of, in your mind, of course you don't know, you can't say for Chandler or whatever, but is there anything in your mind that says that maybe the order doesn't go to the one as being the best for being best, trying to anticipate the matchup and get the best matchups?
100%. And even Chandler, you can listen to Chandler saying that. He said, look, we're going to try to strategize a little bit. That way we get some matchups that we want. He's like, our number 1 guy or our first pick guy may not be our so-called best guy, and our number 4 guy might not be our worst guy. He said, we're going to do some things, and we're going to see if we can get some good matchups.
Because like the way I looked at so like I said, I'm a fan. I watch it all the time, and just so everyone knows, I don't know anything. I don't know anything past tonight. When I looked at the 4 people, and of course I only see what the training clips are. You don't get to see the whole training session, whatever that. When you look at the matchups and you look at Conor's guy, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt that can grapple his ass off, does not seem to be the best matchup for his guy. And knowing that Conor's going to put his guy as number 1, that seems like a bad matchup for him. And like I said, I don't know anything, clearly, I'm just kind of, trying to analyze it, but I hope I'm right.
Here's the thing,
crazy.
So Conor, and I'm sure Conor knew, hey, if I make Lee Hammond the number 1 guy, that means he fights Chandler's worst pick guy. Right. And that was me, pick number 4, I guess you could say. Not necessarily, and like Chandler said, it's not necessarily saying our number 4 guy is the worst guy, but let's see if we can just, do these picks and see if we can get some matchups we like. So and look, who knows how that's going to work out, but you'll just have to kind of see how it plays out.
Yeah.
But strategizing like that, I don't know if they were trying to get Lee to necessarily have the worst guy, or did they think we was going to do some switching up also and see. So you don't really know. I don't think you even heard Conor say too much about it. Chandler was the only one that really said a little bit about it.
When I watched the show, they really didn't, and that's why I was asking you about how they did it, because I remember them Dana talking about going in the back and coming back the next day and they're going to rank them. I remember watching and seeing Chandler like doing his homework. I did not see Conor do the same thing, so I don't know how that went on his side, or was that already predetermined? You know what I mean? I don't know.
No, it definitely wasn't predetermined. That was all because, I mean, honestly, what I heard is they gave everybody a list of all 16 fighters. So the coaches for both sides probably went through all 16 fighters and said, hey, look, I really like this guy.
Yeah.
If we get the prospects or we get the vets, this guy's going to be good or that guy's going to be good. So everybody had the list of fighters. And not only that, they actually had, I think Chandler said it in his last interview or his podcast he did, they actually had a list of like 20-something fighters. So it wasn't just the 16 in the house.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fighters. And maybe, who knows, maybe the coaches said, hey, I would rather take this guy on the show instead of these couple guys, because they cut a lot of guys.
Sure. If you had the opportunity, would you do the Contender Series or do the Ultimate Fighter?
Man, I had a really good time on Ultimate Fighter, and like we was talking about, you do got to be very mental, but at the same time, I would have to leave my family again, which sucks. You really don't want to do that for that lengthy a time. But in the Ultimate Fighter, you're not guaranteed a contract either. But and the same thing in the Contender Series. But at least the Contender Series, you get to just train. You know when you're going to fight. You train, however many months you have, and then you go and try to put on a good performance to win the contract.
Yeah, because
that was actually one of my my best fights, my best memories,
Yeah.
and my best times. So I would probably pick the Contender Series again. But it's the Ultimate Fighter relationships you make with all those guys in the house, and it's like, man, even the other team, you make some really good relationships, and those are like relationships you make for life now. Like, I still talk to a lot of those guys.
Yeah. The reason why I ask, because I know Brendan Schaub always talks about like that the Contender Series took away from the Ultimate Fighter, because you have one shot to get into the UFC through the Contender Series rather than having to beat 16 or 8 really tough dudes. I have a friend of mine his cousin is Chris Weidman, and I remember him telling me how his cousin was going to be world champion. I was like, yeah, sure. You know what I mean? Like, this is like, I don't know, 06, 07, 08, like when everyone had a cousin who was an MMA fighter. And so he was telling me when that they wanted him to do the Ultimate Fighter show.
You hear that?
Yeah, is that you?
That was me. I'm sorry. I'm trying to my microphone. I'm fucking music.
That they wanted to do Chris Weidman do the Ultimate Fighter, and he kind of held out, and then he got lucky. He had the guy who was supposed to fight, I can't remember his name, the Italian guy, 185er. And he got lucked out and stepped in and won that fight short notice, and then he was off to the races. So yeah, it's always there's two different ways of looking at it. Like you said, man, I couldn't be away from my family for 6 weeks or whatever it is, with no phone, no way of contacting them, that kind of stuff. That's tough, but at the same time, like you said, man, getting to train with a world champion like Chandler is, even if you got a chance, even if you're training with Connor, I mean, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, man, it's a fighter's paradise. If you want to be a fighter, why wouldn't you? You live for free. You eat anything you want. You get anything you want. Drink anything you want. Train 2 times a day. You get shuttled back and forth to training twice a day. I mean, everything you want.
What did you do during the downtime? What was your favorite thing to do?
So we actually played a lot of cards, man. A lot of the guys in the house, we'd always play cards or something like that. Cards and cook. Cards, cook, and hot tub, man. I mean, that was almost an every night thing.
You know what?
Perfect life.
Funny, because I'm a hot tub guy. I like to hang out in a hot tub. And you never see them really go in the hot tub on the show. At least they haven't yet. I'm just like, dude, after a second workout with Michael Chandler and 3 of the top up and coming or veteran 145ers, 155ers, I'm gonna be in the hot tub immediately.
Yep. That was every single night, man. I want to say we hit the hot tub, we threw some steaks on the grill, we threw some chicken on the grill, and then played some cards.
Now, did you cook all your stuff yourself, or is there one guy on the team that was the guy who cooked everything?
No, man, we had a lot of guys just cooking for each other. For example, the very first night, man, Roosevelt Roberts said, "Hey, man, I just pulled out 4 steaks. Me, you, Jason, and Austin. I got some steaks." And I'm like, "All right, cool, let's do it."
Yeah.
So, let them defrost, throw them on the grill. There'll be nights. Jason to come in, and man, he loved to cook for everybody too. He'll come in talking about, "All right, guys, I'm making stir fry tonight. If I make some stir fry, who's gonna eat it?" Everybody, "Hey, I'm gonna eat some." All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna make it for everybody.
I would never make weight in that house.
Yeah,
man. But it was weird, right? Because, like I said, you have all these resources, you have all this food, but I don't think anybody really struggled to make weight. And I think there's everything you need to cut weight. You have a sauna, a hot sauna, you got a portable sauna, you got a hot tub, you need some Epsom salt for a bath. It's all there.
That's Epsom salt's his
That's
jam.
my thing. That gets me. That made me cut weight every time. It got me on weight every time. I take Epsom salt bath every day too. That keeps me alive. I'm super old, so that's after training. I did a kettlebell workout today for I joined this kettlebell gym. Bro, I'm falling asleep now because I got up at 7 to do this, and it's it was so hardcore. I need an Epsom salt bath. I need to go to that house. I need a hot tub.
Yeah, that was nice. And not only that, man, it was cold in Vegas, right? I didn't expect it to be cold. But
at night it's cold, right? I've never been to Vegas. Is it cold at night?
What's that?
When was it filmed?
March.
March, yeah. So
Is it cold during the day?
Late February, early March.
Yeah, there's also like a little bit of a rainy season there, like where it's just it doesn't rain hard, just drizzles because you're out in the desert. But I went out there in February one time thinking I was gonna be in shorts and t-shirt the whole time. I was like, this sucks. Like,
and it was freezing. It was
except,
a lot
like,
of
I thought
nights
it was like 100 degrees year round. I didn't
no,
know that.
but
Wow.
now you go out there, it gets real hot. But when the sun goes down, it gets cold in the desert at night when it's not summertime. But I love Vegas. I'm going out in August again. I can't wait.
Yeah, so we had a pool too, and man, the pool probably got 40 degrees. So we'd go from the hot tub to the 40-degree pool, back to the hot tub, 40-degree pool. So a lot of the guys love that too.
Do you ever do the ice therapy stuff?
Here and there, I got a trough at the gym, or a big tank at the gym. I got a cover on it, so. And I have an ice machine like a quarter of a mile down the road. So you just bring a basket, pay $5 and fill up 50 pounds of ice and bring it back, dump it in. So every now and then I get some of my fighters, hey man, we're going to ice bath tonight. Oh yeah, sure. Let me fill the trough up and throw some ice in there.
They talk about how great it is for you, but I'm like, I won't go in my pool if it's below 80.
It's
like cryotherapy. I do cryotherapy. I like that because it's hard for me to sit in the ice bath, but the cryotherapy is like 3 minutes. I can deal with that. I know it's not as good, but it does its job for me. But yeah, ice baths are hard.
Yeah, they're rough.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So, buddy, we're gonna wrap it up. Right, it's almost 10 o'clock our time. Thank you so much for being on it, man. It was such a great time talking to you.
You said you have two. How long have you had the two gyms for? I mean, that's for
so
a while.
I opened my first one, and with Raphael's help. Raphael's the one that basically made me open gym. And
I figure
he's
the empire down there.
But I opened my first gym. I want to say in 2015.
Okay.
And then I bought a gym that he had opened previously, probably in 2016 or 17. I don't know for sure, but I know the gym was already running about 4 years when I bought it. And I bought that one from him in 2019. So yeah, now I got two schools. Me and my wife, we just run back and forth.
That's awesome.
5 days a week.
She trained as well, obviously?
She does. She's actually a purple belt.
Nice.
She won her division at the Worlds the past 2 years in Vegas.
Wow, that's incredible.
So are you coming out to Vegas this year?
Yes, we're actually coming out to Vegas the 1st of July, or first week of July.
Okay.
They got the Nationals, IBJJF Nationals.
Okay.
And my wife's going to compete, and my son's going to compete. So
awesome. By the way,
how many kids?
His son's a badass, bro.
How many kids do you have? You said you have a bunch of kids, and I think I hear them. Is that your kids in the background?
Yeah, they were. I heard them out there cutting up. So me and my wife, we have 5 kids all together.
Nice.
I had 3 kids when me and my wife met. She had 1 kid, and then we had 1 together.
Nice. And what's the range? Do they most of them train, or how does that work?
Every single one. Even our youngest is 3 years old. That's one we have together. Even he trains.
That's awesome.
And I don't know if you ever seen any videos of him, man. He's a little beast too. He's been training for probably 2 years now since he can actually walk. And now he actually does an official class. And we've been having him grappling. We're going to put him in the next tournament.
Who does the Muay Thai fights?
That's crazy.
My son, that's my 12-year-old. So my oldest, my daughter, she been training since she was 5. She's a green belt. She's 15. And my second oldest is my 12-year-old son. He's an orange belt in jiu-jitsu, competes a lot of jiu-jitsu. He boxes for USA Boxing, and he's fighting a Muay Thai fight next week inside the cage. So that's going to be fun.
I watched a video of him kicking something the other day. I was like, I don't give a shit if you're 12. I'll smack you. You're kicking me that hard.
He's a little beast. I'm just trying to stay on him, man. I'm trying to show him how to work hard. I don't feel like he's worked very hard in his life yet. So me and him been having a lot of talks about how he needs to work hard if he wants to really make it to that next level.
Yeah.
So he's got a tough fight Saturday.
My daughter's 13 and she's a pretty good ball player. And but like pretty good ball player doesn't get you to where you want to go.
Right.
And like you're saying, I mean, she's lucky she's 5'10, right? And she, I played high school and college, so I can give her, some view of what's going on past this point. But like you guys got to put the time in, and that's really like I forget who said it. There was a jiu-jitsu guy said it. It was just like it doesn't matter who's the best; it's who's left.
I said that.
You did not say that.
I did. I said that.
You did not say that originally.
I came up with that. Actually,
but that's really what hard work is about. And I always say, like, Kobe. I'm a huge Kobe Bryant fan, and like I don't think he was as good as he was without hard work. Like I think LeBron was going to be LeBron. Same thing. I mean, not that Jordan didn't work hard, but not that LeBron doesn't work hard, but Kobe was who he was because that dude was insane with his work ethic. And that's what a lot of these kids aren't taught that in school. Aren't taught that, like, at home, they, their parents just shove a iPad in their face or whatever. They're not taught the work ethic that they need to get to where they need to go. So that's awesome, man, that you're teaching your kids that. So I was talking, are you going to be out in Vegas in August for Worlds?
Yes, actually we are.
Okay.
My wife's going to compete this year again.
Cool. I'm coming out. I'm not competing this year. I had 2 neck injuries this year from car accidents. Or last year, in fact. But I'm coming out just to hang out because I haven't seen Rafael in forever, and I love all those guys out there. Chef and Robbie and Angela and all of them. So can't wait to go out to Vegas, just kind of hang out, gamble. Get into some trouble.
Yeah, we'll be there for sure.
It was Chris Hodder.
Oh, is that who it was?
Me too.
Yeah. He's a Hickson black belt, right? The surfer guy. Yeah, that's him. Thank you. Tell me it was you. Definitely wasn't you. All right, Kirk, we're gonna let you go, but give us a shout out to friends, family, your team, your sponsors. List them all out here, buddy. How can people follow you on social media and all that good stuff?
Yeah, definitely follow me on my Instagram page, k.holobaugh. Go give me a like, follow. Check me out on Facebook. Let me thank my sponsor, Covington Power Sports. Working on getting a few more sponsors in, but thank you to those guys. Go give me a follow. Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna follow you too, but I always wanted to friend request you, but I didn't want to be that guy. So I'm gonna do it.
You good? Go ahead, friend request. I'm trying to get those check marks.
Listen, just you can let him follow you, but don't accept any direct messages from him. That's
always accept the direct messages.
You never know where to use that.
But cool. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it big time. It was really awesome having you, and thank you for talking.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime, guys.
And good luck in the rest of the season. We'll talk to you soon. All right, buddy.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, appreciate you. Later.
Yes, sir.